Last time on Devox plays Higurashi When They Cry. You're right, let's get going. By the way, Kei-chan. Yeah? Okay, yours is less creepy. I don't like hers. I don't like hers a lot more than I don't like Mion's. And now, to continue our peaceful life in the village of Hinamizawa. Ladies, gentlemen, creatures of all origins, my name is Devox Runeheart, and welcome back to Devox Plays Higurashi When They Cry. Last time, we had a bit of a pointy snack, you could say. And, I think we're at the point where everyone seems like they're against me, yet the police keep telling me things that I don't want to know. So, like, I think we're just on a downward slope, and there's no way to really slow down. But yeah. One thing, just to start off with, I've been saying this in most of the other series, I have been tweaking audio. I noticed last time, like, I thought, the sound of the mouse will be picked up by the microphone, so I'll use the keyboard. The keyboard got picked up. Now, however, it should actually not pick up any unwanted noises. So far, it's been that statement's been accurate, so hopefully this time, no unwanted noises, like keyboard and mouse. But yeah, let's go tiny. Get into it. I believe we read the tip. Wait, what? Did we not? I think we read that. Yeah. Let's continue. This was the first time I'd ever woke with such clarity. It was 5:59, just moments before my alarm would go off. I was amazed at the precision of my internal clock. I had made preparations for the next day of school before I went to bed. I changed quickly and descended to the deserted lower floor. I noticed that my mom was still asleep. Neither breakfast nor lunch was ready. Yesterday I had unilaterally declared that I would be leaving early today, so it couldn't be helped. I slathered jam on some bread and topped it with instant coca. Ew. Just as I was finishing up breakfast, my mom rose groggily from the slumber. Hi, Keiichi, you're up early. There's some sort of school event? Not really. Answered bluntly. I picked up my bag and stood after Wow, I'm starting off great. After stuffing 2 slices of bread down my throat. You're leaving already? What about lunch? If you don't wait a bit, I can't make it. If I waited for her to make my lunch, then it would end up being the same time as usual. If I did that, it would raise the chances of me running into Rena or Mion on the way. Yes, from today onwards, I was going to go to school alone. I'll be fine for today. Then what will you do for lunch? I'll slip out and buy some bread or something at the store. Really? Then here's some lunch money. Be sure to bring me back the receipt. I took the 1,000 yen bill from Mom and slipped it into my pocket. Pretty early. Is Rena-chan up this early as well? No, just me. Did you tell Rena-chan that you're leaving early? I have no reason to tell her every little detail now, do I? Finding it difficult answering the onslaught of questions, I made an annoyed face. Tell Rena I went ahead when she comes. Hey, Keiichi, wait! Not that I didn't trust my parents, I just couldn't rely on them. They couldn't help me. I could only hope that they didn't get involved. It was safer that way. If Mom's annoying voice was cut off by the slam of the door. For the first time since I moved here, I headed down the road to the school alone. Up until now, I had always walked down the same path at the same time each day. I always met with the same people at the same places, but today was different. I didn't meet with the people I would normally, and nobody was at the places where I would have normally met them. Of course, Rena wasn't at the spot where we usually met, and there wasn't anyone at the spot where we would have met up with Mion. The length of the tree's shadows, the morning air, and the brightness of the sun, it was a completely different type of morning from what I was used to. Without a doubt, it felt strange. It left me with the impression that I had destroyed the illusion Hinamizawa had set up for me before it had enough time to prepare for all the props needed to deceive me. My Keiichi-kun. You're so early today. Is everyone meeting early this morning? Oh, I thought he was. I thought I was in her monologue. My Keiichi-kun. You're so early this morning. Is everyone meeting early this morning? The person who called out to me was someone we always was someone we passed as they were taking a walk along the edge of the fields. I thought that was Mion. Their name was I forgot. Of course, this wasn't the spot where we usually passed each other. I woke up early today, so I thought it would be a good change of pace. That's all. I threw out a random excuse. What about Rena-chan and Mion-chan? Are you by yourself today? Well, yeah. I was being asked the same type of questions my mom was asking. So I answered them in the same uninteresting, vague manner. It wasn't funny being asked where Rena was each time I passed by someone, but maybe it was to be expected. It was because for so long we were always together so amicably. Even I felt that if I let my guard down, we could still be frit. Stop it, Keiichi. Don't think about that anymore. You spent all day yesterday thinking about how dangerous it was to go soft, didn't you? Oh. A car horn blared from out of nowhere. Even though I was walking, lost in thought, that horn was way too close. A mechanical behemoth blared at me from behind, catching me completely off guard. By the time I turned around, the van's hulking chassis was almost on top of me. I'd see plenty of car veer to the opposite shoulder to avoid pedestrians, but this car was doing the opposite. Felt like there was somebody on the opposite shoulder of the van was swerving in my direction to avoid them. That blissfully ignorant train of thought delayed me from realizing something much, much more important. That large mess was hurtling right at me. Was it going to hit me? The inside of my head instantly flooded with painfully cold liquid. In that moment, the scene before me, no, time itself had frozen. The silence of that frozen moment, I compared the van so close that I had no way to dodge it. My body, the upper half twisted awkwardly in order to look behind me. There was no way I could dive out of the way in my current position. If I lost focus now, this moment would unpause and I would probably be plowed over, caught in this silly pose. Bend my upper body towards the patio by the side of the road. If I bent far enough, I'd get away with just being hit by the side view mirror. As soon as the thought crossed my mind, the temporal stasis was shattered by the deafening sound of the van. The side mirror struck my shoulder, sending me spinning off through the air like a top, locked in my contorted position. Splash. Then, tumbling through the air, I crashed into the muddy patio on the side of the road. My entire body was soiled and drenched. But the choice I had made that instant was unmistakably for the best. I was covered in mud, but when the alternative was being hit by the car, it was the closest I could be to being unscathed. Rising up from the patio, I had enough in me to glare over at the stopped van and yell profanities at the driver. I'm not sure if he was able to see me, but the van sped off suddenly. Wait, damn it! This is what we call a hit and run, wasn't it? I couldn't help but continue yelling out profanities. Did the side mirror not break? I would assume if you get hit by a car and you hit the side mirror, that thing would snap off. The disgrace from being covered in mud hit me more than any physical wounds. Or hurt me. I slogged through the muddy patty and made my way back to the road. This is a crime, goddammit. Okay, I'll track you down and sue you. If I go looking for a van, I'm sure to find it in this little village. The path I was on had rice paddies on either side, and it had become so narrow that one car could barely fit through. It wasn't a place you could tear full speed down in a car, let alone pass by pedestrians. Not only was it a narrow road, but the car just now was closer to my side of the road than the other when it went past me. Even as I cursed, I was desperately trying to suppress the dark cloud roiling within me. This wasn't just a hit and run. That car just now tried to run me over, wasn't it? Thinking back, it did feel like there had been a car creeping up on me slowly for a while. That's right, as soon as I'd parted ways with that person while taking a walk, I had a feeling the whole time. If I had wanted it to pass me, then it had no shortage of chances. Normally, I would have felt suspicious and turned around sooner, but I was lost in thought and now was kicking myself for not realizing it was there sooner. And then, when the path became too narrow and there was no one else in sight, he floored it. If I'd hesitated for even a moment, the result would have been no laughing matter. As the adrenaline rush from nearly being run over subsided, and the realization of just how terrifying the preceding events were sunk in. There was no doubt about it, that van was intentionally trying to hit me. Cold, viscous sweat seeped from my scalp and slid down my back before dribbling off. I struggled to avoid falling into a panic. There was still the possibility that this was really just an accident. Calm down, Keiichi. Don't be so naive, Keiichi. Being that lax will get you killed next time. You need to always be on your toes. Don't give them any openings. If my enemy was really out to kill me, then next time they would use a more reliable method. If that time came and I was acting like I was just now, being covered in mud was the price I had paid for my own naivete. Covered in mud but without injury. Not even a sprain. Ow. Being hit by a side mirror still friggin' hurts. I guess this is what you would call the silver lining. I began walking again, this time cautiously. I wouldn't even show a hint of carelessness. I suspected only running the others up until now. No, it was because I suspected them that I believed there was no other enemies. Oishi-san had said so, didn't he? That there was the possibility that all the families of the village were involved. Was I really mired so deeply in this situation that I had no choice but to try and carry on as usual? Wouldn't it be safest just to hole myself up in my house? But the moment I abandoned my regular routine, everyone around me would abandon theirs as well. That was too horrifying of a thought. I recall the tales Oishi-san told me of when Himezawa was still called Onigafuchi. A frightening tale of the entire village of demons hunting their prey, surrounding them and eating them alive. One must not interfere with the demons. One must pretend not to see it. The enemy were numerous, all the village families. The villagers, with their unwavering faith in the curse, would do nothing but to help me. Strong, sudden flash of sunshine made me slightly dizzy. I had no idea what was going on anymore. When I suspected it was the work of man, I would catch a glimpse of Oyashiro-sama's curse. When I suspected it was Oyashiro-sama's curse, someone would poke their head out. What was coincidence? What was intentional? Who was my enemy? Who was just a bystander? No, what I really truly wanted to know was, how did I end up with the proverbial bullseye painted on my back? Eventually, an answer in the form I could understand will appear. I don't care when that will happen, because until then, I cannot die. That alone fueled my resolve to fight, and will kept me alive. I remember seeing the metal bat in the gym storage shed, but there was a padlock on the door barring my entry. At the very least, I wanted to get my hands on it before everyone else arrived at school. I circled around the school grounds impatiently. But all I could find were things like pieces of lumber, nothing I could bring into the classroom easily. Then I had an epiphany. I should search inside the classroom. If there was something in the classroom to begin with, then there wouldn't be a problem. I could tell that everyone's indoor shoes were still in their lockers. Good thing I came early. No one else was here yet. I wondered, what could I find in the classroom? I didn't think I could find an especially effective weapon like a bat. But it couldn't be helped at this point. Until the gym storage shed was open, I needed to find a substitute. A lingering hint of naivete whispered that there was no way I'd be attacked at the school. But such soft ideas were no longer protecting me. To think that they were slowly making their way into parts of my life that I had once thought impenetrable. In the worst case, my own house might not be safe anymore. That was an incredibly frightening thought. But I believe that not considering the worst case scenario would have been even more frightening. Anyways, I will survive. As long as I lived, I will definitely be able to escape this labyrinth of nonsense. Definitely. My exploration of the classroom came to an impasse. That much was to be expected. There was no way there would be anything that could be a weapon in the classroom. In case of emergency, there was probably nothing I could do but swing my own chair around. My gaze landed on the lockers that had come to be used for personal storage. The locker that Mian used to store her pile of games was among them. There was one for each person in the class, all lined up. Of course, there was one for me as well. Oh yeah, there was supposed to still be a tracksuit in my locker. Seeing me covered in mud would be strange. I should go change later. First, I need a weapon. If one of my classmates came, it would be hard to rummage through all the lockers. So we began opening the lockers one by one. They're mostly just filled like things like gym clothes, personal items, and umbrellas. An umbrella. I couldn't find anything better than that. This would have to be my weapon. That is such an awful weapon. Umbrellas are not sturdy at all. I was about to give up on finding anything decent when I opened a locker that held exactly what I wanted. It was, without a doubt, a metal bat. It was well-worn and pretty beaten up, but there was no doubt it was usable. In that locker that reeked of mold, there also hung a baseball uniform. Probably the locker of a student in a Pee-wee league or something like that. If that was the case, then he'd probably ask for it back. At the time, I could hear the voices of the children scuffling their way noisily in from the hallway. Amongst them, I could make out Riki-chan and Sadako. Good morning.
My, you're quite early this morning, Kiichi-san.
I nonchalantly hid the bat I was holding behind my back.
What's with your outfit? You're covered in mud.
Yeah, I had a little incident. I'm gonna change now, so cut me some slack. That said, I began taking off my clothes. Sadako began to blush as I expected her to.
Changing in front of a lady. Have you no tact at all?
I would think that a lady staring at someone who was changing would be the one lacking in tact. There's no changing room for boys, so just deal with it. As Sadako feigned disgust, she went into the hall and still blushing. Conversely, Riki-chan continued to stare at me, preparing to change. If Riki-chan is a lady as well, then I don't think it would be appropriate for you to be watching. I'm not a lady, so it's fine. She deliberately pouted and looked at me with upturned eyes. Then starting now, you're a lady. If I'm a lady, then I suppose I must. Riki-chan appeared to be satisfied with being considered a lady, made her way to join Sadako in the hallway. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief, Rika stopped suddenly and turned towards me. Are you going to start playing baseball? It seemed that Riki-chan had noticed the bat. Yeah, just, I was feeling a bit out of shape. So I thought I'd just try practicing my swing. I think that it's wonderful you're taking care of your health. She was talking like an old lady, despite her appearance. After saying that, Riki-chan started to leave again, but stopped and looked back at me once more. Please don't lose that bat. Seems she already knew I took it out of someone's locker. That was slightly ominous. There was no name on the locker door. I didn't know whose bat it was, but I would be borrowing it until they complained. It wouldn't be for long, just until the gym storage shed was open. After quickly changing into the tracksuit, I checked the time. I still had plenty of time before class began because I came so early. I took the bat in one hand and went out to the schoolyard. That was, of course, to practice my swing. I needed to make it known that I would always have a bat on me, so I could practice my swing. At some point, the sunlight had become even stronger. Disregarding my classmates as they made their way to school, I took my position in the shadows of the school building. I wasn't the academic type, and I wasn't much of an athlete either. I might get muscles pain if I just suddenly started swinging. I should at least start with some simple warm-ups. I doubt anyone would think I was doing something out of the ordinary, which is the exact opposite of my actual mental state. I grabbed the bat and swung lightly. The bat was by no means light. The weight would make it a reliable weapon when I needed it to be. Of course, I could only pray that the moment I needed to use this as a weapon would never come. Why am I so itchy? Just carrying it around could deter attacks against me. At least that's what I hoped. Huh? Kei-chan, what are you doing? After being bombarded with such a hysterical voice, I jumped. Oh, Keiichi-kun, are you on the baseball team? The baseball team? Or the baseball team? It was Runa and Mion. I was surprised you went up ahead. What are you doing, Kei-chan? Can't you tell by looking? Practicing my swing for the championship. You can say it's part of my diet if you want. Diet? Kei-chan, are you really that fat? I bet you didn't know, I actually have a beer belly. Plump and jiggles. Plump and jiggles? Rena, you don't have to imagine something so weird like that. To distract Rena from imagining something that vulgar, I ruffled her hair messily. Well, I hope you make it to regionals at least. This old man will cheer you on. Regionally speaking, that seems that Oshima High is pretty strong. They say their southpaw Kamada-kun is amazing. Good luck. Seems they made me out as some kind of local prodigy, but oh well. Well, if I really did make it to the championship, it would be a cinch. After all, I'd be the pitcher and catcher. I pitch the ball, run past the ball I threw, and change over to being the catcher in a burst of super incredible explosive speed. I laughed dryly at the ludicrous image. Going back to my senses, I smashed the bat against the ground. Damn it! What am I laughing at? Out of the ground over and over. Each impact, the reverberation traveled through the bat and stung my hands. If they make me smile like that, I'll... Don't allow anyone close to me. Don't trust anyone, no matter how many times I tell myself that. If they made me smile like that, I'll... I already knew quite well that there were demons dwelling in my... dwelling in my smiling friends. But I just couldn't believe it. That kind of split personality really exists? Like how Rena confessed to the doctor they were simply being possessed by Oyashiro-sama? In other words, did a supernatural being like Oyashiro-sama really exist, and was it possessing everyone to try and kill me? Yeah, that would be wonderful. If only everyone were actually my friend all along and everything was just Oyashiro-sama's fault. You damn fool, Keiichi Maebara, come here, come on now. I yelled out, drawing out the power from the pit of my stomach, and raised the bat violently into the air. Stop being so soft. I screamed out with all my might and beat the metal bat into the ground over and over. With every impact, my weakness was being beaten down. Smash. Forget it. Smash. Don't be soft. Smash. Know your enemy. Smash. Like hell I'd let them kill me. My shoulders heaving up and down from my ragged breathing, I heard the first bell ring just as I calmed down. Goofy school fun time? I'd be surprised if there was any more... oh, come on, arms. Got my arms kind of fixed. I gasped with a sudden realization. That was the final bell. I felt all the tension drain from me. I let out a deep breath. My mind was in a muddled state for much of the entire day. I didn't feel like I was awake, but I didn't feel like I was asleep either. I couldn't say it felt especially comfortable, but I felt a kind of relief that the sanctuary of the, or sanctity of the school part of my daily life had yet to be violated. How long would I have to keep on living like this? I could only grit my teeth and bear with it as this living hell slowly gnawed away at me. Keiichi-kun, come on. It's club time. It's club time. The sound of Rena's voice brought me back to my senses. Come on, Kate. Come on, Kei-chan, stop spacing out. Bring your desk... Oh, wait, does she... Does she call me Keiichi or Kei-chan? Who says what? Bring your desk. Everyone was moving their desks together as usual. That's right, it was happy, fun club time. But I had no intention of taking part. I haphazardly stuffed the contents of my desk into my bag and prepared to go home. It was a weak-handed gesture to avoid having to actually say, I'll be going home now. What's this, Kei-chan? You planning on going home right away again? Dion sounded quite disappointed. I'm just not in the mood. Can you just let me be for a while? The tone of my words that spilled from my mouth matched Mion's disapproving glare. It felt like the air in the room had dried out. Sakura looked like she was about to say something, but perhaps dissuaded by the mood, she swallowed her words and stayed silent. Nobody said a thing. I took that to mean that I could leave if I wanted. But the collective gaze of the four of them, like the tiny pins used to mount an insect on display, held me in place. Rena was the one who cut through the heavy mood. Keiichi-kun, you didn't like playing with girls, I guess. Yes. She said in such a melancholic tone that it sent a wave of pain racing through my heart. If this pain was going to kill me, I wanted it to be the soft part of me that could still feel pain. I tore at my chest, violently tearing out the pins that held me in place. That's not it at all. Only by hurting myself by saying anything more, so I swallowed my words. Cutting things off there, I turned away and exited the classroom. They didn't speak a word to me as I left. No more happy fun club time. It was a long, dull trip back home, but I didn't lose focus. I firmly squeezed the grip of the bat, which was already soggy from sweat. Realizing that, I wiped it down with my sleeve. If something were to happen, I wouldn't want it to be slippery. Since this morning, I'd become especially sensitive to the presence of cars. Even while walking, my ears picked up and sought out the threatening sound of presences that could be closing in. And that was why I could hear it. Without a doubt, there were footsteps. Those footsteps had matched up perfectly with mine for a while now. From what I could sense, it was just one person. They had no intention of being careless. Did they intend to follow me like the car this morning until we were in a good location to assault me? Then it wasn't a good idea to keep walking like this. Stop walking and look back. The wooded path crowded with trees responded with silence as if there was nobody there to begin with. But I wouldn't be fooled. I was certain footsteps were following me. Just as I stopped, the footsteps stopped as well, meaning the person following me wanted to keep their distance. That was, without question, proof that I was their target. I held my breath, waiting for that presence to panic and start moving again. The trees rustled with the sound of the wind. Higurashi also joined in this dissonant chorus, trying to throw my focus into disarray. 5 minutes passed? Or had I been like this for a whole 30 minutes? It was so hard to breathe that I might have suffocated. It seems I would be the first one to panic. Without a doubt, he was lurking in the shade of that tree that with bated breath. Then I had to make the first move. Fix my grip on the bat. I raised it up to my shoulder to be ready to swing it at any time. Hey, I know you're there. With all my might, I screamed at whoever was hiding in the shade of the trees. But the presence in the shade didn't budge. Until the moment I found them, they had no intention of revealing themselves. I know already. I know you're there. I screamed out angrily at them again, but even still, they didn't move at all. I'd go over there myself. All too vigilant as I approached step by step. Stepping into the tree's shadow, I saw a human figure there. That figure was curled up like a small animal. Rena. When she realized I had found her, her expression softened. She seemed apologetic, but wasn't going to speak a word. Do you have some business with me? I wouldn't accept that silence and screamed the question at her. Really? Just, Rena was in panic with tears welling in her eyes. It was obvious that she had been following me. What about the club? Since you're not, I'm not. That shouldn't matter. Don't mind me and just play. But I'm worried about you. Thinking about how I'd been acting up until now, wasn't hard to imagine that my behavior would have been perceived as strange. So Rena was concerned. A quick glance at how it would seem. I wasn't going to let my guard down that easily. Even if that really was the case, she still wouldn't have to do something like try and tail me. She would have called out to me when I was leaving and gone outright with me. But Brenna didn't do that. She kept her distance from me and matched my walking speed. On top of that, she matched the sound of her footsteps to deviously try to hide her presence from me. Then after she realized I noticed she was there, she held her breath as she tried hiding from me. She wore a timid expression that would force one to take pity on her, but without a doubt, she was tailing me. Not following me. Oh. Still glaring at Rena, I continued walking onwards. After I walked for a bit, she ignored my command and began walking again, so I yelled at her once more. I told you not to follow me! But my house isn't in the same direction. Then walk ahead of me. I'll start walking once I can't see you anymore. I moved out of the way and waved my bat violently to urge her forward. I'd like to go home together with you. Making such a pitiful expression, she meekly squeaked out the words in a voice that she knew would cut into my heart. That agitated me to no end. I knew it was a lie. If you wanted to go home together, then you should have called out to me. Now you're just blurting out random lies.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It seemed the seething anger within me was written all over my face. Even without me saying anything, Brenna had understood what I was feeling inside. If you get it, then go. Throwing the bat, urging her to walk. Brenna looked back and forth between me and the bat and started walking hesitantly, then stopped again. Go on, hurry.
I'm going. Please stop with the bat. It's scary.
Brenna guarded herself while pointing at me and holding the bat. She may have realized that I wasn't planning on using the bat for baseball. I lowered the bat, but still guardedly opened the way for her. Go. No problem now, is there? There was nothing else she could protest. She passed by me timidly as to not set me off. As I watched her pass by, she stopped completely after having barely moved at all. Hey, don't stop. Yeah. Then a powerful gust blew past us, barraging my face with dust. She's gonna be right up close, isn't she? With crazy face. The dust got in my eyes and clouded my vision. Covering my eyes with my left hand, I swung blind with the bat in my right, protecting the small opening I had presented. But Brenna didn't even try to attack during that opening. Attack me? No, she hadn't budged an inch. I could tell from the sound of her fluttering skirt in the wind. As her skirt settled, so did the silence. At that moment, the voice inside of me immediately warned of impending danger. I was caught by surprise. The smell of the air had changed. Without me realizing it, the air around me suddenly felt like a calamity that was about to befall me. It was like the air had suddenly become invisible concrete, like Rena and I were locked in this space. Rena didn't move an inch. Also unable to move, I stared back at her. Rena was the first to break the silence. Instantly, she altered her stance. I felt like I had just witnessed her shift from Rena into that other person who looks like Rena, but the voice was the one I knew well, which filled me with a kind of bewildering pity. Carelessly, I felt relief upon hearing that pitiable voice.
Uh, um, excuse me, but can I ask you something?
Too shy to even turn around, Rena squeezed her voice out desperately, as she trembled. What?
Um, well, well, why do you have that bat? I wonder.
The question Rena asked me was by no means unexpected. I can carry what I want.
But you didn't have one until yesterday. Why so suddenly?
Well, right if I decide to do something suddenly, isn't it? Is it strange that I have a bat?
Because, Keiichi, you're not the kind of person to play baseball. It's weird.
I couldn't tell what kind of answer she was looking for, and I was getting tired of answering her. I just suddenly got the urge to play baseball. That's so weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
She answered instantly, and that annoyed me slightly. Just suddenly wanted to play baseball, and I wanted to practice my swing, so I'm carrying around a bat. What's so strange about that?
Strange. Weird. Definite. Why has Keiichi-kun also?
Your ramblings are annoying me. Is it that strange for me to have an interest in sports? I tried to sound a bit more threatening to end the conversation. Though my suspicions about Rena were cleared, I had no obligation to answer her questions.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Don't get so angry.
Rena still didn't turn around and spat out words of apology one after another.
It's just one last thing. Tell me one last thing.
I don't feel like talking anymore. Hurry up and go. I yelled loudly at her, causing her to flinch like she had been struck. Seeing her in such a pathetic state caused my heart to ache sorely. But even though she was afraid, she stubbornly kept herself from moving. Before I was able to threaten her again, I asked her final question.
Why is that bat the same too?
What does she mean by the bat was the same? I have no idea what she was talking about. What are you saying?
I mean, why is even the bat the same?
I don't understand what you mean at all. Say it clearly. Even so, Rena still didn't turn around. After inhaling deeply, she screamed.
I mean, why is even the bat the same as Satoshi-kun's?
Satoshi being... Huh? Upon hearing that name out of the blue, I became dumbfounded for a brief moment. That's Satoshi. Did she mean the student who had transferred out last year? But that couldn't be. I had tried to cover it up by saying he had transferred, but Oishi-san told me quite clearly that he was missing. He was the student who sat at my desk until last year. He was believed to have been demoned away by Oishiro-sama's curse. I didn't know the details about his disappearance. Beyond he lived was killed the night of the Wadanagashi by drug addict, and not long after that he suddenly vanished and was now missing. That Satoshi and I were what? My gaze fell to the bat in my hands. Could it be? Satoshi Hojo. It was a bit difficult to see, but that was written on the pale or on the white tape at the end of the bat. I see. So this was Satoshi's bat. Oh. This was Satoshi's bat. I didn't know what he was using and I borrowed it. It's not a problem, is it?
That's not it.
The way Rena said that made it seem like this bat was something that should never be touched. Like it was some sort of offering at a shrine or a memento to the deceased. I could only stand there perplexed and unable to respond. Rena continued speaking without waiting for a reply.
Why is it? Why is it? Are you doing the same thing that Satoshi-kun did when it happened to him?
Rena was talking about more than just the bat belonging to Satoshi.
It was the same with Satoshi-kun. Joined the baseball team, but he didn't really like baseball.
What does that have to do with me?
Satoshi also suddenly started walking around with a bat one day. He joined a team, but he wasn't the type to play sports.
What about it? I closed my mouth before I could say it out loud. Listen carefully, Keiichi. Rena was trying to tell us something important.
Satoshi-kun also one day came to school all by himself all of a sudden, just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly started practicing his swing, just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly began carrying a bat around with him, just like Keiichi-kun. Then one day he suddenly... Then
one day suddenly what? Rena had swallowed her words. Rena's sudden silence brought a hush back to the surrounding area. It was then I could finally digest the content of the entire conversation. She's saying my chain of actions was exactly the same as Satoshi's. What was the meaning of this? Up until just now, I'd forgotten all about Satoshi. I never paid much thought to him in the first place. Not only that, I didn't even know anything of what he'd done. My actions today should have been my own creation after all the planning I had done. But they had done been the exact same as Satoshi's? The Satoshi, no, more importantly. If both Satoshi and I acted the same, then there was also a good possibility that what happened after would be the same. Rena, that day, what happened to Satoshi? Rena knew. She knew what became of Satoshi. No, forget about what happened to the guy in the past. Rena knew what was going to happen to me. Answer me, Rena. Satoshi, what happened to him? With that, I grabbed Rena's shoulders violently and forcibly turned her around to face me. As I faced her, I felt a jolt travel through my entire body.
I told you, Keiichi-kun.
It was that person that I didn't know. At least it definitely wasn't Rena Ryugu that I'd been talking to up until now. The voice just now didn't have a trace of the trembling or emotion that it had before. The amount of regret I felt for turning her around so carelessly was surpassed. That gaze that pierced me like a cold needle, the smile on her face that invoked an image of having been carved out by a knife. Those went down my spine, my mind froze under a layer of rime. Both of Rena's eyes pierced through mine, leaving me unable to look away. As if to remind me of the fear that time before, Rena brought her face close to mine, so close I could feel her breath. Her face had filled my entire field of vision. Then her sharply shaped lips grew even sharper, like the curve of a crescent moved. He grinned.
I told you, Keiichi-kun.
After a short pause, Rena repeated the same words again.
Satoshi-kun, you see, transferred out.
Transferred, meaning what? What Rena meant must have been some new definition of transfer that I was previously not aware of. My throat and lips dried up. I couldn't even acknowledge what I had just heard. All I could do was swallow down my own saliva. It would seem that Rena had saw that as a nod. I pulled her gaze back and spryly stepped back 2-3 paces. As she did, my legs gave out and I fell to my knees pathetically. Brenna and me on my knees underneath her emotionless smile. That was the very odd sight indeed. Seeing me in that pathetic state, she neither scoffed at me nor held out her hand. But I could neither stand nor escape with her gaze shooting through my eyes. There was undoubtedly a metal bat in my hand, but right now it was useless to me. I was like a fly caught in her web. Heavy sweat beaded all over my body. I could feel it, dripping from my skin.
But you won't, will you, Keiichi-kun?
Rena finally released me from that cage of time after what felt like an eternity. Her question was missing something important and was incredibly vague. Once again, I swallowed hard, urging her on. Do what? What did she not want me to do?
Transfer.
I don't like it. Oh, bitch shitter, take up another's bat. Satoshi and I had... What? All of my well-planned actions throughout the day turned out to have been nothing more than a reenactment of what Satoshi had done. Satoshi, had he really been in the same situation as I was now? The friends he had suddenly gotten along with had changed suddenly, and for no reason, at least none that I had noticed. Planned to kill him? Then, fearing for his life as I am, he got a bat to protect himself and carried it around every day to practice his swing? And then one day, suddenly, transferred. My blood went cold, causing a prickling sensation to course through my veins. Starting near my heart, it radiated outwards from the top of my head to the soles of my feet, chilling every part of me without recourse. What does she mean by transfer? What did she mean by transfer? Satoshi still at whatever he transferred to? Was he the only one who would be able to understand me? Would he be able to tell me why it all ended up like this? More importantly, where did he transfer to? What did she mean by transfer? And what did she mean by transfer? Before I knew it, I was at my front door. The rigid knob was hard to turn. Nobody home? It wasn't that odd of an occurrence. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a single key attached to my fur seal keychain. I stepped into the entryway. Just as I was about to take off my shoes, a chill ran down my spine. Someone had entered right behind me. A classmate messing around, standing right up against my back. You're kidding, right? It had to be my imagination. Logically speaking, it was impossible for someone to be able to hide their presence within my personal space all the way through the door. But there was undoubtedly someone behind me. Hey now, Keiichi. How do you know they're there even though they're behind you? Because I could hear the sound of flowing hair. No other reason I'd hear that sound. I was the presence. Because I could hear the sound of them blinking. Keiichi Maebara, there's no way you could hear that. Yeah. It was mostly instinct than anything else that was warning me of that presence. Common sense was telling me that it was just my imagination. It was just my imagination. There was nobody behind me. I began to erase the mental image of an eerie figure standing behind me. But at the same time, I asked myself, if there was nobody, then what was I feeling? An uncomfortable sensation crawled up my spine. Actually, wouldn't it be better if there was somebody there? If there was nobody there, then when you turned around, would you be able to accept that? I'd be able to answer all those questions by just looking behind me. But I didn't have enough courage to even do that simple task. Oh, right, I could try speaking to them. The person behind me might answer. It was a random thought. I didn't care how I went about it, just so long as I didn't have to turn around. If I had calmed down and thought about it, I would have known that wouldn't have solved anything. Who is it? Spoke in a hoarse, broken voice that I couldn't believe it was my own. I could almost feel them contemplating their response. I felt it. There's no way I should be able to do that. Calm down, Keiichi. It's all in your head. That time I was certain I heard it. If hesitantly trying to answer my inquiry, I was certain I could hear the sound of someone inhaling. I heard it. I heard it. I heard it clearly. It was a girl. A young girl. I didn't know who, but a tiny speck of courage in me, however reckless it was, inspired a primal yet fitting solution to this current predicament. A scream. All the force of my body released from my lungs and through my throat, ceasing all thought process in my head. Suppressing all my thoughts and emotions, I began to collapse like a house of cards, somehow managing to twist my body and look back as I did so. It was definitely there. Right there. Somebody was there. Until the moment I turned around, until I brought the area behind my field of vision. Wait, until I brought the area behind me into my field of vision. They were definitely there. Falling face up, my eyes traced the remnants of the presence suspended in the empty space. It couldn't be. They were invisible. They looked like they weren't there, but they were actually still standing there. As I screamed, all the emotions I was holding back burst free in a violent wave. However, I was decidedly calm as my emotional dam collapsed. The turbulent wave of pent-up emotions was at the turbulent wave of pent-up emotions was skillfully diverted into a torrent of aggression. That emotion was definitely required to extricate myself from the bizarre situation happening right in front of me. In my state of heightened lucidity, I entrusted my body to the fury. Metal bat I held firmly in my right hand as if drawn there by the mag by bleh. The middle bat held firm in my right hand as if drawn there by a magnet. A mid-level sweep would be the hardest attack to dodge. I remembered reading something like that from a book about swordsmanship or something. I brandished my will to fight. The after image of that amalgamation of metal flashed as it swung from left to right, beating against the entryway. Bat slammed into the right wall, the tip rebounding violently. Very calmly, I transferred the force of the rebound into a sweep to the left. The door of the shoe cupboard was split into pieces. Those two swings whiffed through the empty space, but they seemed to have a great psychological impact on the enemy. I could feel the panic emanating from that space. The attack wasn't the only thing required. I extracted the bat from the cupboard it was embedded in and screamed as I swung my entire body in a large arc. Ah! My scream shook the air, imbuing my ferocious swing with even more destructive power. Brack. Without murderously restraint, my violent strike, with certainly fatal force behind it, shattered the top of the cupboard. None of my attacks struck the enemy, but my ferocity certainly seemed to impact them. Breathing heavily, my entire body soaked in sweat, the invisible enemy, there but not there, disappeared. He's just losing it. When I was certain that the enemy had retreated, I locked the front door and latched the chain. No way. It only feigned retreat and is now inside my house? Once again, I channeled my aggression and searched the house for the presence, but it was gone. I succeeded in fending it off. At that moment, the tension drained from my body and I let out a deep sigh of relief. All the emotions I'd been holding back chaotically merged together and began to flood out. A hodgepodge of fear, accomplishment, and disbelief all mixed together and began to flow through my body. Unable to deal with each individual feeling, I beat them all back with the strongest, exhaustion. Even in this moment, I remained composed. After checking that all the doors throughout the house were locked, I went up to my room on the second floor and closed the curtains. I straightened my back and tilted my head back a little. After clearing my mind of all of my idle thoughts, I managed to calm down even more. What was that at the front door? There was definitely something there. Thinking about it, maybe it was just an apparition I dreamt up in my confused state. But I really didn't think that was the case. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Compose yourself. No matter how calmly I thought about it, what had happened wasn't a figment of my imagination. It was obviously a supernatural phenomenon, and without a doubt something was behind me. It wasn't some sort of illusion I saw amidst my confusion and disorientation. Proof? In just one piece. When I asked who is it, they inhaled as if they were about to answer. That sound had clearly reached my ears. The situation I was in right now was still unclear. Whether I'd been possessed by the supernatural phenomenon known as Orishiro-sama's curse, or this was a ruse by the villagers who believed in it and were imitating it. Either way, their motives were unclear. The roundabout way in which it had been done was also still a mystery. If it was perpetrated by humans, that would mean admitting that it was Rena and the rest of them doing it. But it would be solvable. I'm feeling weird. Holy crap. Sorry, I just need a second. I think speaking so loud, quickly, is making me lightheaded, and I don't know why. I had a wave of bleh. Okay, I'm good. Oishi and the rest of the police would surely arrest the enemy. But if it was a manifestation of Oyashiro-sama's curse, I wonder what that would mean. Oishi-san very clearly declared the curses didn't exist. At the time, those words were pretty dependable, but as things were now, with the rising possibility that the perpetrator was not human, he suddenly seemed quite unreliable. If I told Oishi-san that it was the work of Oyashiro-sama's curse, what would happen? I couldn't imagine his reaction, but it would go without question that the void would expand rapidly between myself and Oishi-san. With me having so few allies to begin with and not being able to confidently declare whether or not this was a curse or not, there was no merit in doing that. I'd better keep the facts of what just happened at the doorway to myself. It would be better if I didn't add to what happened here to the memo behind the clock. There was still the ever so slight possibility that I was actually confused when I thought I was composed, and I was just going berserk in the entryway. How wonderful would that be if it really was what happened? I would be able to refute Oyashiro-sama's curse. But if I denied Oyashiro-sama's curse, then that would mean admitting that Ren and the rest were the perpetrators. If I said that Ren and the rest weren't the perpetrators, then that would mean believing in Oyashiro-sama's curse. Denying both of those, I would be admitting that I myself was losing it. The three options from which I couldn't choose became a trilemma of sorts. They mixed together and formed a whirlpool in my mind, making my head spin. Once again, I straightened myself and leaned my head back slightly to calm myself down. Calm down, Keiichi. Accept what is actually happening as reality. Not think of anything more than that. But I couldn't help but think of it. How wonderful would it be if it turned out I was delirious and everything up until now was a figment of my imagination? Oyashiro-sama's curse wouldn't exist and I would be the bestest buddies with Rena and the rest. It would have to be crazy. That was the first time in my life I'd ever wished for such a thing. The phone rang noisily downstairs. Generally there were no calls for me, so I never really answered the phone much. But since my parents weren't here, I had no choice. I squirmed off the bed and went downstairs. Hello, this is the Maibara residence. Keiichi, this is Mom. I intrusively had a bad feeling about this. It was because I thought she was going to ask me to go out and buy something, so I took the initiative. But I don't mind having noodles for dinner, there's still a lot of them. The other day we went out as a family and bought a whole case of cup noodles. I wanted to get a bunch of different kinds actually, but they refused since the individual packs were expensive, so instead I got a whole case of the mega-sized pork bone and ginger flavored ones I liked. But my parents didn't like strong flavors and didn't touch any of them, so the cupboards were still full of them. You see, there isn't really a need to go shopping, right? Keiichi, I'm not asking you to go shopping. Both Mommy and Daddy have to go to Tokyo right now because of work. Huh? Right now. This was really abrupt. No, we're already here. We left this afternoon. Quite a distance to Tokyo from Hinamizawa. Going at full speed down the highway would still take 6 hours. Dad had a license, but since he doesn't like the highway, they likely took the train. It would have taken longer. I'm thinking you might understand since you heard us speaking last night, but it has to do with Daddy's contract. Right now, things aren't going smoothly. Now that you mention it, I did remember that they were talking about all that time about how his job prospects weren't looking so good. Daddy is really... Why is she suddenly saying Mommy and Daddy? That's a bit weird. Daddy is really sensitive about things like this, so if we leave things as they are, it will affect his work. Part of my father's particular fragile artistic personality, his emotions change as easily as the fall sky. You could also just say he didn't take criticism. But something like this can be done over the phone. Keiichi, this is your father's job, so you can support him a bit, please? Anyways, it's just faster to talk about it in person, so there wouldn't be any misunderstandings. As their son, there was nothing I could do, I could say once they started talking about work. So we'll be back tomorrow night. Keiichi, will you be fine on your own? Not like I'll die or anything. Keiichi, you shouldn't speak so lightly of dying. If there's something troubling you, just talk to us. I believe Mommy will be able to help you out. Yesterday I did bring up if I died rather abruptly, so I suppose they were a little worried. But really, I was more depressed by the fact that nothing would be solved by telling them. but I didn't plan on dying. At least not while I still knew nothing. I would never allow it. I won't die. I won't. Survive even have to gnaw my leg off. Yeah. See you then. Tomorrow morning, make sure you wake up. Eat your breakfast. Don't forget to take a bath and brush your teeth. Yeah, see you. All ended like that. Sometimes my parents went off to Tokyo for business meetings. But Tokyo was far away. They normally did things by phone. The times they did go were normally planned out in advance, and it never happened this suddenly. I couldn't say those circumstances didn't feel strange or rather unusual. Anyways, I only needed to recognize the reality of the situation. That tonight, I was the only one in the house. That when my parents came back from work, I'd be gone, missing, vanished. Looking back on the series of events that previous 5 years, well, if only Shiro-sama's curse, it wouldn't seem that strange at all. Come to think of it, it was getting pretty late. I didn't think it was good that the only light on in the whole house was from my room or the second floor. It was the same as broadcasting to the enemy that my parents were gone and this was their chance. First, I ran into the living room, flicked on the lights, and turned on the TV on a reassuring volume. Next was the study. I certainly turned on the lights and the music. With this, from the outside, it would look like my parents were here. Once again, I went through the house, checking to see if anything was left unlocked. When I saw the vendetta and the laundry still hanging there, I went pale. That would have made it too obvious. I needed to take it down. I snatched down the laundry haphazardly and erased all traces that my mother wasn't there. She'd be fine now. The garage. They hadn't gone all the way to Tokyo by car, but they had gone to Onomiya Station. The garage was empty, wide open, and in plain sight. That was not good. I panicked and rushed out to the back to close the normally open garage door. Should be fine now. I need to get the paper. Mom always got the paper since they left in the afternoon. The evening paper was still out there. My premonition was correct. I pulled out everything from the mailbox and dropped it in the entryway. But this, for sure this time, it should be fine. Come to think of it, leaving the cupboard busted like that for my little freak-out was kind of bad. I'll just say I tripped and fell, and the bat was holding smashed into it. Even so, just leaving it in its current state wasn't good. I should clean it up a little before Mom got back and scolded me. I remembered that there was a broom and dustpan in the closet. As I was going to get them, the phone rang once again. Hello, this is the Mayabara residence. Oh, is this Keiichi-kun? Is your mother around? She isn't here at the moment. Idiot, Keiichi Mayabara. Did you reveal that your parent... Don't reveal that your parents are gone. You can follow up still, calm down, and take care of it. I think she'll be back soon. That wasn't a good response either. Now they might say they'll call again, or to tell her to call them when she comes back. And that's fine. It wasn't anything important. Well then, sorry for the bother. The scenario I feared didn't play out, eliciting a sigh of relief. That call was fortunate in more ways than one. I'd have to deal with more telephone calls coming in from my parents tonight. I was somehow able to deal with the phone calls just now, but I couldn't continue to rely on such poor improvisation. I need to make up a good story and explain my parents were home but couldn't answer the phone at the moment. They were making tempura and couldn't step away right now. That was good enough. They were sick and went to bed because they weren't feeling well. Was that going to be safe enough? Fuck, they get a lot of phone calls. I was thinking about it on the way back to my room when the phone rang once again. It was like they were calling their house because I knew it was going to lie. I didn't want to pick it up, but I knew I had to. They'd suspect my parents weren't here. Should have just taken the phone off the hook under the pretense I didn't realize that it was. But since the phone rang, I had to pick it up. I prepared myself and lifted up the receiver. Hello? I stopped announcing this was the Mayabara residence. I had no reason to be kind to someone I didn't know the identity of. But unlike my uncouth voice, the person on the other side sounded goofy and lighthearted. Hello, my apologies for calling so late. Hello, my apologies for calling so late. This is Oishi from the Onomiya bookstore. Oishi-san? Is that you, Mayabara-san? Good evening. Good to hear you're doing well. Wait just a moment, please. I grabbed the portable handset and rushed up to my room with it. It was the same no matter where I was, since no one else was in the home, but I wanted to be in a spot that felt just a bit safer when speaking on the phone with Oishi-san. Sorry for the wait. How are things? Anything changed since then? Since then. When was that exactly? There was something about the brazen way he asked that rubbed me the wrong way. Last time I spoke with Oishi-san was 2 days ago. The day I stayed home from school, I met with Oishi-san on the way back from the hospital. We headed into town for lunch and had a talk. And after that, Renan and Mion came to check up on me. Whenever I spoke with Oishi-san, they always knew about it. It was like that since the first time I met him. Today's phone call may have been found out by them as well. You hear me, Mayabara-san? Huh? Sorry. What did you say? I asked if anything's changed since last time. There wasn't an answer, so I got a bit worried. Not really. The words stopped in my throat. There was a ton of stuff that happened. All of it baffling. What should I talk about? I didn't understand any of it, but I should try asking. If I didn't ask now, I may never have another chance. This night when my parents aren't home, I had no guarantees that I would make it through the night safely after all. Well, Oishi-san, it seems that someone is after me. Really? It could all just be a coincidence, but that day I missed school when I was sick, the two of them came to check up on me. Which two? Rena and Mion. They started asking me about how I had lunch with you. What next? Left me some mochi when they came to visit, but there was a needle inside. Fortunately, I somehow didn't swallow it. I wondered, could that have just been a threat? About the needle. It was just one of those common sewing needles you see all the time. There was a hole to string thread through. No, not that, Maibara. The needle itself. That's evidence. It could be used as proof that they threatened you. Where is that needle? That's right. That's it. I dropped the receiver and rushed downstairs. When I tossed the mochi, I had overlooked it out of terror, but that needle was a valuable piece of evidence. I'd certainly thrown the mochi and needle at the wall together. If it was there, then that would be on the living room wall. When my prudent mother had cleaned that living room wall, there was not a trace of mochi left on it. Could it be that it dropped in the gap between the wall and the carpet? I apparently searched, but running my palm along the carpet, nothing turned up. I tried moving around the sofa and desks, pulling up the carpet, then flapping it about, but I couldn't find the needle. Did my mom clean up everything without noticing it? It was just 2 days ago. I didn't know what day they collected the burnable trash, but it may still be in the trash bin in the kitchen. I rushed into the kitchen, popped open the lid of the pail, and poured out its contents. Ew. But even at a glance, I could tell it would be incredibly difficult to find a needle in this pile of trash. I was looking for a needle in a trash stack. I tried running my hand through it. It was a bit gross, but I was looking for a needle. If I felt a small prick, I'd be able to find it. It was a pretty tactless method, but it would be the quickest. I held my breath and started striking the pile of trash in my hand. Still threw about. There was nothing more disgusting than this, but now was not the time to be concerned about such details. I continued for a while, but nothing turned up. I wanted to search more thoroughly, but I was still on the phone. I shouldn't keep Oishi-san waiting for too long. Later, when Mom got back, I'd have to ask her if there was a needle. I hastily began scribbling on a notepad to fix a refrigerator with a magnet. Was there a needle? I scrawled the words in red pen, and then dashed back upstairs, where I had been keeping Oishi-san waiting for too long. Hello? How did it get? Oh. Hello? How did it go? I couldn't find it. I was really overwhelmed back then, and... I see. It would be great if you could find it. Keep it safe. That's right, the needle wasn't the only incident. I had to tell him about this morning with a hit and run. Also, Oishi-san, that isn't all. Actually, this morning, that van was definitely aiming for me. I could say without question that due to the circumstances at the time. Did you see the license plate? I can search for it from here. Damn! I just flipped out yelling at him back then, but I didn't look at the plate. Failures on my part with the needle and the plate number. I was so focused on just protecting myself that I let some of the most important details slip from my grasp. I punched my pillow, annoyed at how worthless I was. I'm sorry, I didn't know much more than it was a white van. Nothing to fret out, Maibara-san. Anyone would be shaken up after being hit. I guess all of this really isn't a coincidence, is it? Oishi-san started to hem and haw over the other end. I could imagine him folding his arms. Also, Rena is acting weird. How so? Is Rena said on the way home today? asking why I was so much like Satoshi-kun. Now I could say it with confidence, that Rena knew what happened to Satoshi. She knew that there was more to it than just him simply disappearing. Rena knows... She knows something regarding what happened to Satoshi, the kid who was demoned away last year. What would that be exactly? Rena said I was the same as Satoshi. She said something to the effect that the way things are going, I'll end up with the same fate as Satoshi. Fate, you say? Exactly what kind of fate did she say would befall you? Transferring out, she said. Transferring out? Rena said Satoshi transferred out, so given how things are going with me, I'll transfer out too, soon. Oishi-san let out a stern sigh and then grumbled loudly. Maibara-san. That was probably some sort of threat. Maybe some type of warning. I thought so too. At this point, I started to think. Would it be prudent to sum up everything that had happened up until now, the machinations of some human perpetrator? Other than the theory of it being Rena and the others, I was left with Oyashiro-sama's curse actually existing as the other explanation. Of course, I couldn't tell that to Oishi-san, except Rena's strange behavior could be proof of either scenario. Whether it was Oyashiro-sama's curse being real or everything being part of a conspiracy committed by all the villagers, Rena was involved. Rena had to know something. Rena was suspicious. What exactly was Rena? I couldn't help but think she was somehow involved with the prior string of mysterious deaths. I seem to recall that Oishi-san had admitted to that he had dug into Rena's past a little. He was probably just downplaying it when he said a little, meaning he had actually dug pretty deep, most likely. I wanted to hear about Rena. I wanted to know what happened at her previous school, among the other things that were still unknown to me. If Rena was somebody I should respect? No, not that. I wanted to know the truth. Tonight I was alone in this huge house. Even though I said I couldn't count on them, I had lost the security I felt just by my parents being around. It wasn't like this house was some sort of fortress or castle. A malicious person decided to use brute force to easily gain entry. There were no other residences close to the Maibara residence. No one would be able to hear anything, no matter how loud it was. I had never felt as much resentment towards my father's artistic temperament as the fact that he had this house built in such a remote location as I did right now. Uh-oh. I wondered if I might still be here by tomorrow morning. So I had to ask. Right now. I had no idea when the next chance would come. Oishi-san, I had something I wanted to ask about. Please don't keep anything from me. Sure, ask away. Even though he was far away on the other end of the line, this was the most reliable he had ever felt. I wanted to ask about Rena. What would happen at her previous school? Actually, regarding Rena's... I noticed a sound that had been going on for a while now. Since I was so focused on the call, I hadn't paid attention to it at first, but I finally realized it was the doorbell. Time was 7 o'clock. It was past the time the postman would be making a delivery, and past any sensible time for a neighbor to be visiting. I considered just acting like nobody was home, but that wouldn't be good. That would ruin all the work I put into making it look like my parents were home. I needed to answer the door. Hello? Hi, Barazan. They're ringing the bell quite a bit. Sorry, someone seems to be at the door. I'm gonna go see who it is. A guest? I see. My apologies. Should we end this phone call now? That would be a problem. No, I'll be right back in a second. You mind if I just leave the phone on? That's fine. I don't mind. I dropped the handset on my bed and dashed towards the door. I needed to make up a good excuse to get them to leave. I had the hunch it was the lady who called right before Oishi-san did. In which case it would be fine. It would be one of the neighbors who's friends with my mom. I'll just say mom isn't feeling well and went to bed early. That would be the easiest option. It's not your mom's friend! It'd be hard for her to ask me to wake up my mom if she's not feeling well. The bell continued to ring at regular intervals. If someone didn't answer after you rang the bell so much, you normally would give up and go home, wouldn't you? Without removing the chain, I opened the door slightly and peered out at the visitor. Chill ran down my spine. I knew it. Somewhere deep inside, I prepared for this moment. I tried to escape by imagining it was the easiest person to deal with, one of my mom's friends.
Good evening.
Rena? There shouldn't be any reason for Rena to come over at this hour. The timing also made me feel uneasy, because it was just as I was about to ask Oishi-san about Rena. I wish I could have chalked this up to mere coincidence, but those unsettling words from Mion several days ago echoed back to me. There's nothing this old man doesn't know. Are you alone, Rena?
Yeah.
It seemed that Mion wasn't with her, but that didn't change the situation at all. Why did you come here?
Hey, Kichikan, I'd like you to open the door so we can talk. Can I come inside, I wonder? I wonder?
It was true that speaking through the chain door wasn't the right way to talk to a classmate, but at my house the chain has to be on at night. Don't worry about it.
Then, can't be helped, I guess.
Rena pouted rather sadly, but she kept smiling at least, and her effort to keep that smile up was quite pitiful. Even though she was tugging at my heartstrings, I didn't lower my guard. As long as I stayed like this, even if it made my heart ache, my life wasn't in danger. What I really feared, more than the possibility that hoodlums would assault me if I removed the chain, was trusting Rena enough to remove the chain, having my friendship betrayed. As long as the chain wasn't unlatched, even if it made my heart ache, I wouldn't have to deal with being betrayed by Rena. Since it didn't seem like I'd removed the chain from her silent urging, she appeared to give up on trying to get into the entranceway.
Have you eaten yet, Kichikan?
No, I haven't eaten. Since my mom wasn't here, it didn't be ready no matter how long I waited. I laid down when I got home, had woken up by this phone, and didn't have a chance to eat since I used up all that time talking. I'm gonna have cup noodles in any case. I could just eat one whenever I wanted to. No, not yet. What about it?
Then good. Look here. Brought a bunch of dishes.
Rana held out a stack of boxes wrapped in cloth. Why do you have those?
If I could use your kitchen, I can heat up the miso soup and other stuff.
It's fine, you don't have to do that.
But there's a lot of tofu and vegetables in it. Did you not like that type of stuff? I wonder. I wonder.
There's no way I wouldn't like that. I love miso soup with lots of ingredients. White radish, carrots, burdock roots, and potatoes, dense and fibrous root vegetables. Yeah, that miso soup looks incredible.
I also bought rice. If you microwave it, you can eat it up really quickly.
Without a doubt, rice needs miso soup. Stuffing rice down your gullet, sipping on miso soup in between ravenous bites. Oh yes, how wonderful it would be to be born. Wonderful it is to be born Japanese.
Also, I made some more pickles.
That's a lot of stars in our words too.
I made sun's eye pickles this time.
Before I moved to Hinabizawa, I scoffed at the mountain of vegetables called Sanzai, but I was captivated by their charm the first time I tried them. Such a deep yet light flavor. Vegetables from the supermarket were tasteless and bland compared to these. If I had to describe them, then they were vegetables for the uninitiated. To become an expert such as myself, you first had to partake of Sanzai. It was commonly acknowledged around here that the Ryugu family's traditional pickles were wonderfully delicious. No matter what kind of pickles they were. They go so well with that fluffy white rice.
And also.
But wait, there's more. So delicious, it seemed just so delicious. Very well to the unhealthy self who said he'd make do with a cup of noodles. Why does she have this much food if she didn't already beforehand know that his parents were gone and wouldn't have been there to make him food? This is 100% a trap. Renova appeared to be in such good spirit. Now, also the fact that he threatened her with a bat earlier, that kind of flew up my head for a minute. Yeah, why is she doing this if he did that? Renova appeared to be in such good spirit that she was offering such delicious-sounding dinner. Stress evaporated from my gut and hunger reared its voracious head. At the same time, my wariness of Rena suddenly dwindled. Rena did say she was alone. It shouldn't be a problem letting her inside. But the possibility that it was laced with poison still hadn't been ruled out. At that moment, a cold chill ran down my spine once again. I couldn't understand why such a sensation had occurred just then, but the voice inside me was sounding the alarm. This happy Rena, speaking of the charming dinner, was dependent of one premise. depended on one premise. And that present premise was that tonight dinner hadn't been made in my house, meaning that it was under the assumption that my mom, who should be making it, wasn't here. In any normal household, 7 o'clock would be around the middle of dinner time. If my mom were here, we'd be eating dinner around this time as well. The fact that she brought over all the makings of a meal at this time is inherently strange. Yeah, unless she knew. Brenna, did she know that my parents were home? There was also the chance that this was a bluff. I turned on the lights and a bunch of other stuff to make it seem like my parents were here. There was a chance that Rena was unsure if my parents were home. I had to wonder. The laundry, the garage, the evening paper. There were plenty of signs of them being hastily tidied up. It's hard to say that Rena didn't have a chance to determine that my parents were here or not. There was no reason for me to confess that right now. I tried holding on to that fact as long as I could. First of all, the chain was still latched. As long as I didn't take it off, Rena wouldn't be able to do anything to me. I'm quite grateful, but dinner will be ready pretty soon.
Huh? Is that so? Is that so?
I know you went through all the effort to do and everything, but, well, I'm able to think of a good way to refuse. My words trailed off weakly.
But some of this could work as side dishes, I think.
I'm sorry, we have more than enough already. My mom always brings quite a few sides, so...
Huh? There's side dishes?
With a smile that bordered on a cringe, I dodged her questions apologetically. But the feeling that I tried to ignore began creeping up my back again. I spoke as if my mom was settling down dinner right now, but it didn't mesh well with what Rena was saying. Rena was acting as if she was unaware of some obvious fact. And that I was aware of it as well.
Okay, she can cook. What did you make, I wonder?
Well, no, it's not that Rena had assumed out of nowhere that I had made the dishes. No, not so much that I'd made them, but rather that my mom hadn't.
Really make them? Side dishes? Did you, Keiichi-kun?
It wasn't me who made them, my mom did. She's making them. Right now. So, you see, I'm sorry, but I can't eat with you what we brought. Rena fell silent at that moment. At that moment, I felt that the light had suddenly disappeared from her eyes.
How about I try to guess what Keiichi-kun's dinner will be?
Doesn't matter what I'm gonna eat.
Let's see.
Conversation might appear natural at first glance, but Rena was firmly in control. I felt that I was being interrogated.
Dinner. I wonder, is it something that can be made with just hot water?
Hey, now stop with the insults. I can't believe you believe my mom's extravagant dinner like that. I think it's sold out, full capacity already. It's that amazing. I tried my best to put on a strong front, but I couldn't grit my teeth quite right. So instead, I looked like someone who was borderline hysterical. Rena showed no reaction whatsoever, even to that silliness.
Keiichi-kun, did your mother really leave you dinner?
Yeah, she's insisting that his mom isn't here. No, you see, she didn't leave me dinner. She's making it right now. Almost time for dinner. Rena had taken that assertion of mine, that my mother was home and making dinner right now, completely ignoring it. I could tell that the more I panicked, the colder Rena became.
Keiichi-kun.
At that moment, an uncomfortable chill crept into the gap of the doorway.
Is your mom home, I wonder?
I couldn't keep up with the charade anymore. Rena, she knew full well that my parents weren't home. But I'd come too far to admit that now. Anyways, my parents were here and that we'd be having dinner soon. That was the situation I concocted. So I answered. I told her she was here. She's here, of course. I could feel the humidity drying out from the surrounding air. Rena's eyes were becoming more frigid, piercing me with their gelid glare.
Why?
Huh? What do you mean? I tried acting casual, but the facade was torn off the instant I looked into Rena's eyes. It informed me that Rena's response faster than she could have opened her mouth.
Why have you been lying to me, I wonder?
I'm not lying.
That's a lie, isn't it?
It's not a lie. Lies. Rena's outburst sent a jolt surging through my body. Rena and I were still separated from that few inches of that slightly ajar but still chained door could afford. Despite that, I was still being cornered. My house, which I'd considered a safe haven until now, had become more like a dark alleyway where no one could save me.
Well, I guess your dinner, Keiichi-kun?
Let's see. I know now that Rena had already known that my parents would not be here tonight. But it was still so strange that it had become to this. Even if she somehow knew that my parents weren't home, there was no way she'd be able to guess what I'd be eating tonight. But Rena said she'd guess. How'd she guess it? How could she know it was instant noodle?
That's right, isn't it?
I was gonna eat... Wait, the cooking repertoire of a man who can't do housework is probably nothing but cup noodles after all. Oh no, is that how you spell repertoire? Cooking repertoire. Looking at this statistically, it was the most probable answer. That didn't mean she was guessing.
I don't think you'll be filled with just noodles. I think having rice and stuff will definitely hit the spot.
Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. This is just coincidence. Rena was just reading certain tells of mine, so the fact that she was inferring what I was thinking alarmed me. But it wasn't as if she was actually reading my mind. If I was being read, then she was a demon. No, not a demon. Things like that, they couldn't possibly exist.
Do you like them?
You mean noodles?
No.
Rena indicated that, and pointing my answer was what? Rena indicated that the point my answer was addressing was wrong. What are the stars? Her rebuttal was so short that I momentarily didn't understand the words Rena had spoken. Sorry, Rena, what did you just say now?
Huh? About what?
Just now, you asked me if there was something I liked, didn't you? It wasn't long before I regretted how carelessly I had pushed forward with that question. It was such a simple answer, that was why I wasn't able to comprehend it.
Pork bone and ginger flavor.
Wonder how I appeared in the moment my mind went completely blank until the moment I was able to recover. When my field of vision began to distort, slowly swirling in a counterclockwise direction, I lost all sense of balance. Why do you know that? I didn't even deny it. That was the type of frenzied state I was in. How could Rena even know this? Not even caring as I mashed my head against the door, I fixated my gaze on Rena. But she didn't even flinch when she saw me do that. I certainly did buy them. I bought a bunch at once. I bought a whole case. How could you know that?
Why, I wonder? Quite strange, isn't it? Isn't it?
How could you dodge a question at a time like this? The chain on the door suddenly were no longer protecting me. How do you know? And why do you know? Answer me.
You brought them at 7th Mart, didn't you?
A shiver ran up my spine. I tried covering it up with an angry facade. Okay, I keep looking away, and I think her eyes are ever so slightly moving every once in a while, and it's creeping me out. Like I said, how do you know that?
I was behind you, following you the whole time.
What are you saying? I couldn't understand why she was saying she'd been following me all this time.
That's because Rena was right behind Keiichi-kun's back the whole time.
Like that night? The night I was absorbed in my phone conversation with Oishi-san? I didn't even sense her being there, standing behind the door, behind me, standing there just like that?
When Keiichi was picking out the noodles, I was watching the entire time. You picked out so many different flavors, didn't you? Then your mom got angry. If you're going to pick the expensive ones, you at least pick one type, she said. Then Keiichi could picked out that big box of pork bun and ginger flavor that he loved so much, didn't he? I like it too. Pork bone noodles. But I never eat a whole big bowl myself.
My brain was paralyzed, dulling my senses. It might have been a defense mechanism to diminish the fear I was feeling to non-traumatizing levels. Too late! With the fear being diminished, the fog enveloping my mind was cleared away. And I could understand what Rena was saying and started to pick meaning behind her words. Even so, my fear hadn't subsided completely. It was like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, eyes closed, and so I didn't have to look down. It didn't actually solve any of the basic problems. I slowly took a step backwards, and as I withdrew, Rena advanced.
Okay, chicken. Can you open this? We can eat dinner together. I'm sure it's going to be delicious, so okay?
Rena's pale, slender fingers squirmed through the crack in the door at that time, or one at a time, as if they had been a mind of their own, rattling the chain. If she had unlatched the chain from the door, a feeling of terror would have exploded within me. Rena didn't do that. She was simply imploring me to remove the chain. She was doing her hardest to light the fuse of the powder keg of my heart, trying again and again, clatter clatter, but it doesn't light. It doesn't light.
Open up. Hey, chicken.
Please go away. I beg you, please go away.
How can you say something so mean, I wonder? I wonder.
Please go away. Go away. Go away! The powder keg inside me finally went off. No smoldering, it just exploded. I tackled the door. The force through the door had knocked Rena momentarily off balance. I couldn't hesitate here. I grabbed at the doorknob with both hands, planted my feet firmly, and pulled with all my might. That slamming sound I so desired didn't happen. I feel a tiny, disturbing bit of resistance keeping the door from closing. And the source of that was Rena's fingers. Look at those fingers wriggling, squirming around like tendrils of a carnivorous plant through the crack of the doorway.
It hurts. It hurts, Keiichikun. It hurts. Ugh.
It wasn't a harsh shriek, but more of a yelp that she was trying to keep back. Go away, go away, go away! I kept on pulling the door with all my might, even realizing that if I didn't loosen my pull on the door, at least momentarily, Rena wouldn't be able to pull her fingers out, and that's why the door wasn't closing.
It really hurts, Keiichikun. I'm sorry if I was messing around too much. Ugh.
I didn't care one bit for her apology. No matter how much she apologized, it didn't change what she had done up until now. It didn't change anything.
Hurts. It hurts. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go away. Go away. Go away. Rena couldn't leave even if she wanted to because I'd trapped her fingers. Rena's white fingers had become deep red and were no longer even squirming.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Go away. Go away. Go away.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Rena's apologies occasionally twisted with pain. But like a broken record, she was intent on repeating it over and over. Go away, go away, go away. Stop it, stop it, stop it! I pulled the door even harder. Apparently, Rena's fingers were somehow able to slip out from her imprisonment of the doorway. The moment that happened, the door closed suddenly, and I could hear a thud of Rena falling on her butt from the other side. I locked the door immediately. I made a loud clunk, voicing my rejection to Rena.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm sorry. Keiichikun. I'm sorry. Open up, Keiichikun.
Rena leaned against the doors, apologizing profusely and nothing else. After confirming that I had sufficiently sealed off from her, I trudged my way from the entryway. On the other side, I could still hear Rena echoing her apology.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Those pitiful words, they would be forever seeking my forgiveness. I didn't feel bad about this at all. But that wasn't out of any sort of malice. I just felt a sort of hazy sense of relief that I was able to escape from Rena. Before, Mia had threatened me at the doorway, saying there was nothing she didn't know. Just now, at the same place, Rena told me that the same thing. My feeble attempts to disguise the fact my parents weren't home had served no purpose from the start. I should have just pretended to be out and not even opened the door. My meager plans hadn't helped at all. In Himizawa, it was impossible to outwit them. Even though I was on the other side of the door, I wanted to get as far away from Rena as possible. One step, two steps, with each one, her sniveling apologies became more distant. I fronted up the stairs and dove into my room. As I would expect, I finally was no longer able to hear Rena repeating her endless apology. Diving into my bed, I was startled by the hard lump I felt. There was something in my bed? It was a receiver. I finally remembered. It was the middle of a call with Oishi-san. Looking at the clock, apparently not much time had passed since I went downstairs. Could it be that my clock had run out of batteries? I talked to Rena for so long, how did almost no time pass? The handle on my clock was ticking forward 1 second every second as usual. As I put the still warm receiver back to my ear, time, which had felt frozen, began to move once again. Hello? Oishi-san? Sorry to keep you waiting. No, not at all. I didn't wait that long. It became apparent that the amount of time that had passed between myself and Oishi-san was different. Over the phone, I could hear the energetic voice of a sports program or something. It drove home just how far away Oishi-san really was. Rena came just now. Did she come to play? I wasn't confident that my coherent explanation of the I could coherently explain the situation to Oishi-san. But I didn't need to right now. Right now, I needed to know about Rena. That's right, I was planning on ask Oishi-san more about Rena, but Rena's little visit had interrupted the conversation. What was true and what was false, I couldn't tell. One thing I knew that the single grim reality that Rena was suspicious. I might be able to find something out if I asked Oishi-san about her. Up until now, I had regretted it whenever I forced myself to ask things that I was better off not knowing. But looking at it that way, you could see I had hit the rock bottom. There was no possible way I could feel any more regret than I did now. No, rather, I wanted to know if there was anything beyond this I would regret more. Forget about tomorrow. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility for something to happen tonight. I wanted to know everything I could. I was probably not going to die like this. Or absolutely not going to die like this. Not without knowing anything. I definitely won't. Regarding Rena Ryugu-san, I did a bit of digging. Well, yeah, it wasn't much. I understood that Oishi-san was talking in circles. That bit meant I dug so deep it'd be hard to discuss with you since you're a friend. I want to know everything from your research. I don't think you'll be very interested, I have to say, though. Oishi-san. Spoke as calmly as possible to Oishi-san, who was continuing to avoid this issue. And then I said it. I think Rena Ryugu is suspicious. Even if the past incidents were from Ryushiro-sama's curse, Rena Ryugu was involved. You have some sort of proof that makes Rena-san suspicious? The manner in which Oishi-san spoke became very firm. You have some sort of proof. That was him talking as a detective. I only have circumstantial evidence. I see. I tell you even over the phone how disappointed Oishi-san was. Pulling on the fishing line when he felt a bite, only to reel it in the bait. Disappointed, but ready to cast out the line once more. That's how it seemed. Oishi-san. You can't do anything without physical proof, can you? What I meant was, you can't come and save me without proof. I stuck that barb in there. Oishi-san loved roundabout ways of saying things. He understood me just fine. Fine, Marmar-san. I'll protect you. That was not the least bit reassuring. Oishi-san was just using me to continue his investigation. I was just going to get killed, and my corpse would be an important piece of evidence. That was all I was to him. Whether I'm alive or dead may be of no concern to your investigation, but it's over for me when I die. Oishi-san went silent on the other end of the line. It may have been too blunt, but I didn't care. All I needed to relay to Oishi-san was that I was currently in a very dangerous situation. So please tell me about Rena. Satoshi transferred out. Not too far in the future, I'll probably also do what Rena's called transferring out as well. But you won't be able to find my corpse. You haven't even been able to find Satoshi's body yet. Alright, Maibara-san, please calm down. I was already suppressing my agitation, even without Oishi-san having to tell me. It wouldn't solve anything if I continued to scream about my mistrust of the police. It would seem that I could only depend on myself and the bat Satoshi left behind to protect myself. But I at least wanted to know about what happened before Rena transferred schools. You're aware this won't be very interesting, right? Oishi-san, realizing my resolve couldn't be swayed, finally caved. Right now, to me, there's nothing that I'll find uninteresting. Please. There are a few things I need you to agree to. Okay? Please keep this confidential. Also, part of this may be speculation. Not all of it may be true. Are you still interested? It might not be true? I don't understand what you mean. There isn't one main investigation with mysterious chains of deaths in Hinazawa. Each one is treated as its own individual case. Thus, Rena Ryugu has never been linked to any of the investigation. Basically, you see, this isn't an investigation of Rena done by the police. And it is a personal inquiry. This isn't an investigation of Rena done by the police. This is a personal inquiry, is what you're telling me? This will make things a lot quicker since all this is either from phone calls or meetings and they aren't corroborated. I'm asking you to take this all with a grain of salt. We have an agreement? All of it is just what you heard? Yes, my apologies. It's all my personal investigations, you see. That thing, before, you said you saw Rena's chart, didn't you? I'm sure I heard you say that. Oishi-san paused for a moment on the end of the line. I told you that too? Please pretend you didn't hear anything. I don't care about Oishi-san having certain obligations and responsibilities. Also didn't care that there was no proof. Even if they were just rumors, there's no smoke without fire after all. Please tell me, Oishi-san. Understood. Oishi finally opened those tightless lips of his. It seemed that Rena lived in Hinamizawa a long time ago. He had moved to Ibaraki Prefecture after she finished elementary school. Then, following that, right after transferring, an unfortunate incident with the breaking of school windows happened. Then Rena confided in the doctor. It was Oyashiro-sama. That was all he knew. There isn't much difference between what I know and what you know, my mind. And what part did you investigate further? I didn't need to ask. It was the incident that happened just after she transferred. The incident Rena was responsible for, and what she divulged to the doctor afterwards, correct? Yes. After you learned about that, you started suspecting Rena and the others, didn't you? Yes, I did suspect them. So they're the ones after all? No, that's not what I meant by suspect them. Oishi-san was the type of person to say things with confidence, but these particular words were less than reassuring. Then who did you suspect? That it was Oishiro-sama. Huh? That Oishiro-sama's curse really exists. Yeah, right. Well, Oishi-san's laugh was quite dry, certainly not the kind of thing that would make you want to join in. Oishi-san resumed the conversation about the dubious circumstances behind Satoshi's disappearance, the course of events that led up to the start of delving into Rena's past. Just then there was thunder in the distance and heavy rain started pouring down. It came without warning, rain so heavy it felt like it could beat you down. I left the window open in my room, open a crack to let the heat out. The violent wind danced into my room, making the curtains flap wildly. What is it? Nothing. It just suddenly started raining heavily. Sorry, please continue. I got up, was still on the phone, and closed the window. Then at the beginning it was an because neither the school nor the victims filed charges. The police were never involved. So you see, was involved. Were very reluctant to talk. Regardless of there being a victim who had one eye beaten so badly it had a permanent damage. It could have been the school, or possibly some individual who made arrangements to keep this from going public. How do you beat someone's eye in and not get charged by the police? Also, the psychologist was very strict about their professional ethics. But, Tarzan? Can you hear me? There was a figure of a person standing by the light near the mailbox this whole time. Even in the torrential rain, they didn't have an umbrella. They were unquestionably drenched from head to toe. In a shower which more resembled a waterfall, droplets of water dripped down from her hair. Just standing there, both arms dangling at her side. In one hand was the stack of boxes wrapped in cloth. Her eyes focused on my room. Focused on me as I was about to close the window. Her mouth was methodically repeating a chewing motion. As if she had something hard to chew in her mouth. Oh, shit. With her cheeks puffing out. What could she be eating over there? How could it be that at this time I was more enthralled by Rena instead of the shocking development being brought to light by Oishi-san? If it hadn't started raining, I wouldn't have gone to the window. Then I wouldn't have noticed Rena, nor would I have noticed that. Rena's mouth was moving in the same pattern. She wasn't eating something, she was repeating something. What was it? She was repeating? With me? What was she saying? Why was I right up against the window, fixated on her? Hello? Maibara-san? Can you hear me? Hello? I'm sorry. Maibara-san? I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Oh? Hi, Barsock. What's the matter? Even though the torrential downpour, Rena was still apologizing. The other self inside me drew the curtain hastily with my right hand, blocking my view of the outside. Even doing that, Rena's relentless apology still reached my ears. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. If I forgive you for this, will you forgive me for that? Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. Please stop. I'm sorry. 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 Damn it. Why did I have to forgive her? I'm the one that wants to be forgiven. What part of me can't you forgive? I won't be killed. If you won't forgive me, then I won't forgive you either. Won't forgive. 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 I won't forgive. By Barsock. If you can hear me, then please respond. Hello? We are completely gone. You have received new tips for split personality at the 7th mark. Rain of apologies falling on deaf ears. Ooh. Okay. So, I am actually going to cut it here before reading all the tips. Just because I do have somewhere I have to be quite soon. So, save. Under chapter 11, double save. Because I'm paranoid. But yeah. I think this is going to come to a head very soon. If they're already encroaching on the house, we're avoiding them at school, I think it's going to come to a head pretty damn quickly. Also the fact that Keiichi is losing his fucking mind, bashing in his cupboards with a baseball bat because he thinks there's a demon behind him. Yeah. But something's gonna happen, and I'm worried. Yeah. Thank you everyone for watching. Like, comment, subscribe for more. Next time, we crash out? I don't know. Yeah, till next time. Have a good one. Bye.